So, as I was saying, just what I was thinking about yesterday, the idea of the question of why do we do what we do. So I think it was coming from a point, why do I wake up? And so some things which we just now automatically do, and they've now become a part of us. They've become part of our lives. But I don't think, or I feel it gets to a point sometimes that we even lose the why we are doing something. So I was trying to get to that, and maybe I was trying maybe you can maybe shine light into, or maybe you might have a different perspective on what makes you think, like what's the reason we do what we do? You know, you started your own podcast, or you wanna start your own company, production company. You're doing what you do, or you wanna spend more time with your nephew or with your parents. Like, why do we do what we do? Like, what's the significance of? I think that was like the main question around like what I kept thinking about. So I was just hoping today we could. It doesn't have to be long.
Yeah.
But in that shortness, hoping we'll find something and we'll both walk away with something that is more, that gives us more reason to go and find answers of like why we do what we do. And it can be anything. So I don't know if that, I know it's vague, it's open, it's broad, but I would like to hear your thoughts on just the openness of that question of why do we do what we do.
Yeah, I think there are different motivations for that. So, I mean, even thinking about, you mentioned why do you want to spend more time with your nephew. Then you touched on why do you want to start a production company, and then you touched on a bit about why do you have your own podcast, that kind of thing.
Why do you start it? Why did you?
Yeah. I'm just realizing that even just those three things, mentioning those three things, that if I were to question, maybe I haven't done the work to question even deeper and deeper, but I'm already seeing that there's different motivations to those three. So I mean, I'll give you an example with like starting sort of your production company. For me, might stem from a bit of an anxiety about the future, like about the uncertainty of the future. I'm thinking that I've got to be a man and provide for my family. My kids have got to have a security, a home. I mean, I spent some time going through like Property 24 and looking at what things cost, and you realize that I need to make sure I've got like money. And so that anxiety of realizing what things are, what they cost, and the life that you envisaged maybe as a child or even as an adult that you want for yourself, it requires money. So then that starts to propel you to now working hard and finding maybe the path of least resistance, the resistance being your personality. So now the least resistance being my personality kind of goes towards that production side where this is something I kind of sort of enjoy doing. I'll do this. And I think it'll make me money, you see, so I'll go there instead of maybe going another route where I feel like I'm going to have to work like whatever, but it's just not fitting my personality. But then going to the podcast, maybe I've got this internal drive. The motivation might be this internal drive. Maybe it stems from when you were a kid. You always thought of yourself as, I've got something to say when it comes to football, and now you're creating that platform for yourself. And so now it's a different motivation altogether. Maybe I might say it's like, I want the status of, did you see what he could create?
And then with that, like because you could almost predict someone is going to answer a question with those type of reasons. So and then I thought to myself, where's the I don't know, like, and here's my confusion. The confusing part for me was, it's not those things are not great, but if we are to say, okay, like we are not this, ne? Why is it that we answer those questions of the why in the perspective of a human, if I'm making sense?
Okay.
So I only have human reasons of why I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Of why. Do you think it makes it more of it makes it more tedious and more feel like work to cook for your family or for your kids, to make a lunchbox for your kids, to think about the future, the anxious feeling or the anxiety that comes with like the feeling of uncertainty. Do you think it comes from a place of thinking more of a human being than actually trying to find a balance between being you, recognizing you are also a soul within a body and or a vessel, but also you are a body that is functioning or existing in this reality or 3D realm of existence? I hope I'm making sense.
It's a hard question.
Yeah. But how would you interpret that?
Man, like I think for me, just personally, and I want to ask you that question because I don't think I've got that answer. But I think the biggest struggle for me anyway is to reconcile the fact that I'm body, soul, and spirit. And that's just my biggest sort of grapple every day, where I think there are some things that might be motivations to do. Perhaps I'd say they are sort of bodily. I'm struggling with this because I'm just thinking that there are some things that I will recognize in me that are motivations, but I'm not pleased with that. But maybe my spirit is not pleased with that I'm doing, or I want to do, or maybe even I want to accomplish whatever. But those are stemming from a place which contradicts, like, I'd say my spirit. So, man, let me ask you that question. Otherwise, I'll ramble for like.
So, which question?
The question you asked me.
So, I think the reason why I'm asking this question was because I feel like most times, I was going to say sometimes, most times, I don't know if anyone would relate, but life kind of feels like it passes like a blur. And 1 minute you're 21 years old, the next 1 minute you're 15, you're in high school, you know, carefree. 1 minute you're 21 years old, the next minute you're 30, maybe pressure from home, you know. You know, you're getting married when you get your own place or whatever. And 1 minute you're a 50-year-old, maybe facing health issues. You have problems with your health. And I'm saying, with all that time we have or we are given, I'm asking myself these questions because of trying to find the why of why I'm doing something. Because I'm grappling with this thought, existence in itself. So I've been back and forth the whole week, months, years, or back and forth or with how existence itself is kind of suffering. But trying to say that without being pessimistic, of like to not take out the life out of that. Life can be a beautiful thing. But the reality also of the fact that there is also, or being pragmatic over it, there's also danger out there in the world. And so trying to be a spiritual person in a dangerous world where a life can be taken, or someone else feels that they have authority to take a life. And the pressure of also trying to succeed. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't know how to navigate that world.
Yeah.
And it brings all sorts of feelings, whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear of the unknown, doubt. Sometimes there is that confidence that you learn along the way. You meet friends, you make friends, you meet great people, or you have a good company. You make sure maybe you have a good company, you're blessed with good company, or the blessing of coming from a good home, maybe a loving home, a warm family, and just the turnouts and the different turnouts makes me question of like why we can have two different realities and come from the same place.
Yeah.
Like how what you are having conversation with your uncle earlier. At the end of the day, it still goes back to choice, the choice that you make. You know? And I understand that fully. Like it is valid, the choice, and I agree. But just that the why are we here? Like I think that it was like the question that I was waiting to ask, like once we started recording.
Yeah.
Of like, or just in my head, like, why are we here? So why am I here with you? Why am I doing it? Why did we start a podcast? Why did we start recording ourselves? And I'm trying to answer your question with the question that we are recording, and are we recording for someone who's looking behind the screen? Are we doing for ourselves? Are we trying to achieve something? And is that something significant to us or significant to the world, for the world to see that we've achieved this, validate me world? So I'm grappling with that, with also how fast-paced the world is. When do you get to slow down? You know? So I am trying to understand it while I'm giving you the answer, and at the same time questioning the motive behind everything that we do as individuals in this world. But I'm trying to take that lens, or to focus on myself, of like, why am I doing this? Why am I asking this question? So
do you think the question is more important than the answer?
Definitely, I lean towards that. Or like the most important thing is the question. Because the answer is there to guide us, but the question really shows us or exposes maybe the main agenda behind why we do what we
It gets you thinking, at least.
I think yes. An answer cannot get you that far. It will get you to an extent, but a question for me opens doors and avenues that maybe we might not have thought about if I was alone. And so I think everyone has answers. Even people who don't have answers to their problems have answers to other people's questions on things that they might have not solved. So what do you think? Do you lean towards the importance of an answer or of a question?
No, I lean towards the importance of the question. I think in the question itself, the answer is something that I realize we might have to sit here and like rack our brains and try to figure out why, and go back and come up with different avenues and things like that. And I'm just thinking that even whoever watches, there's no answer you and I could probably give that will tell them why they are doing what they are doing. Maybe we might stumble upon that answer, maybe. But I think what is important is to bring up just that thought of, hey, like, what's the why? What's the big why behind
what you're doing?
What's the big why behind? And I think in thinking through that, then there's some sort of like exposing of who you really are, I guess. What's really behind what's really in your heart. There's an exposing of that, and sometimes you need that. So I think sometimes what we need is for you to discover who you really are. And I think like we have had like some conversations about when you then see the side of you that you didn't think existed, or
It's laying dormant.
yeah, it's laying dormant, it's there in you. And so I think it's always important to do that work of seeing who you really are, examining who you really are, like examining your motives, examining your thoughts, holding them captive, and going, why am I thinking this? Why do I want to do this? I think that's more important, that work, instead of like finding the answer. I mean, finding the answers, yes, but like I think starting with asking those questions is the most important thing. And I think what I can say is that for this podcast, even if like we don't figure it out, I think that exercise of asking that question for me is a good one, because now you think that, like for example, so when you asked why the podcast and stuff like that, like now it's making you sort of step back and go, okay, I think that might actually have to do with, but that exercise of thinking through that is, until the question is asked, you sometimes don't go there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about of course, the why of why we're doing this. Is there a certain group of people maybe we're trying to reach out to, or is it a yearn to have an opinion in a world full of opinions, and one might say maybe a misinformation, which makes you okay. So what the question comes now is like, that's coming now is there a misinformation of yourself? Is there such thing as a misinformation of yourself?
Yeah. I hear the question. So I don't know the answer. I think
I'm trying to figure out the world.
Can people be deluded? Yes. I think so. I think we can. You know what's the hard part about answering that question? Is that at 21, I thought, okay, I've got this body of knowledge or whatever, this body of information about whether who I am or what the world is in relation to me and what I am in relation to the world and life. And then at 24, it was sort of like, scrap that. I don't think I was onto it, like, you see. And then now, it's like, now because of that, it gives me a bit of I hope it has given me this humility of realizing, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I know who I am, because I keep discovering other things, and I keep seeing that, hey, I'm capable of this, and then it humbles me a little bit to go when I look at someone who does something maybe crazy or evil or whatever, and I go, we all have that capacity as human beings. I know it because of me. You see, now there's that empathy of like, it's a mystery, this thing of being a human. Like, you keep realizing how weak you are. I don't know whether it comes with growth, but hopefully, like, as you grow, you realize how weak you are, how not smart you are, how not figured out, like, those things. And not to say now you just become this person who's just like, right?
Yeah.
But you strive then to go, okay, I don't know, let me find the knowledge, let me try find that out and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, I'm just sort of saying it to say that I think you can be misinformed about, like,
Yourself.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think so too, because I feel like if we rush into trying to understand the world before we understand ourselves, and so once we have planted ourselves in this world, there's this difference that we sense between us and the world. But what happens is that the pull is that when you have to conform to what the world has to say or what the world thinks before I make a judgment about a situation and see how do I fit in this scenario or situation.
Yeah.
So I think, I'd like to think that there is better misinformation, because I would say even there is that. A simple example would be, think about how we tend to have self-sabotaging behavior or an insecurity or feeling lack of something. But then because our society, we have never done that thing, we feel we're incapable of actually accomplishing that thing. So I'm misinformed by my capabilities as a person. And I took someone else's definition of who I am.
Yeah.
Who someone, and sometimes it doesn't have to even be verbal or like you are this.
Yeah.
But it's more of like maybe through actions and expressions. And we take those things and we ingrain them in ourselves, and then we are like, but I'm not this person. I'm not a public speaker. Why would I put myself in how ridiculous of me to think that I can speak, fluently in front of a crowd maybe of 10 people. And so I do think like there is like a misinformation. And honestly, Donna, I think and you might even have your own reasons. I think the reason why we are doing this, I think my why is leading me to ask my why is leading me to ask questions about myself, and then to kind of draw back Nyana Valley and to analyze over like what's the feeling that I get behind even actually recording or writing whatever an idea that I think and maybe that we might bring into fruition. What's the feeling that I get, and what's the ultimate goal of it? And if I don't feel that satisfaction, what's next? Like if you don't get the dopamine kick maybe you're expecting of, should I bring this up? Yeah, the drawing your maps.
Sure.
Okay, so there was a time where you had drawn a picture of maps Maponyane, and the response that you got from, I think it was a Twitter. Yeah. From Twitter. And the adoration or admiration, is it admiration or adoration? For
it's
your drawing.
An inside joke with regards to adoration, but for another day. Yeah.
So
admiration. I don't know where you got adoration. I know actually, but it's admiration.
I feel like if I don't move away from this, I'm doing subliminal shots. So the just the love that was poured into your portrait, Maps Maponyane. And I remember the feeling you kind of described, or you wanted to describe, just the addictive feeling, the likes coming in, the notification coming in. And it's like, and then you did another drawing, I think. And
because of that.
And I'm saying, does that become a fuel now to what you're doing? Or is it valid as something that you've always loved doing? I would like you to take that and then kind of put it into the things maybe that you're doing now. And just the differences.
Hey, so that one was, like you said it was because obviously you draw this famous person and then they repost, and then now you start to see those likes coming in. And I think every now and again I enjoy drawing.
Sure.
Enjoy drawing every now and again. Not as much as I used to when we were kids and would draw in the bus. Comics and stuff. But like every now and again I feel like drawing something. But for me, the enjoyment of drawing is people's reaction. So I've got a bad relationship with drawing. because it is my source of like wanting people's validation. So now my drawing is not necessarily because I enjoy the pencil, I enjoy the process. In fact, I've left so many drawings unshaded for that reason of I get bored out of my mind having to like stick in this process.
Because no one was looking.
Yeah, no one's looking. I just don't enjoy the process. I enjoy when I've drawn something and people are like, yo, I like keep it or whatever. So that's what I enjoy. So now that when I drew maps and the fact that like he reshared it and he reposted it, what is it? Retweeted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Repost or retweet, something like that. Exposing now and not Twitter people. But anyway, so he retweeted and everyone kept. So now I'm getting these likes and whatnot. Now I'm sitting edge of my phone, kind of like, yeah, and you're talking to me, and I'm like, yeah, kind of thing. Just seeing the notifications come in. And so now I get that motivation to draw something else, right? So that, I don't know, like in my life currently, and again now it's making me go to this place again because of the question, where now I'm examining again, Hori. Have I got stuff like that I'm doing for that? And probably yes, because I think validation is a human, is something that as humans we love, even though we can wanna appear as though I know
I'm doing it for myself.
Yeah, I know, whatever, right? Probably yes, most likely yes, that there is stuff. But again, now the question is important in that now I'm gonna think through that, like, what am I doing for that? Maybe it's the way I dress, right? So it's not entirely the motivation because of I feel comfortable in. No, it could be that I wanna be received or perceived in a particular way, and so that's the fuel of how I dress. Maybe it could be the phone that you are currently using.
Oh, so that you want to show it to the world.
Right, so you want to pull out that Apple's logo, right? And in that you appear as a certain person because of that brand.
Location
can
also be a thing. Where am I? Where am I taking a picture from? Or a video from?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, there's also, I was talking to my colleague about it, there's also, so now there's a movement there, how people are drawn towards the realness of something, authenticity, that I want to show a woman normal life. So I wake up, I bath with my bascom, you know, bathtub.
Yeah. Is it a tub?
What is it?
I don't know what it is in English, but yeah, it's like a huge bucket.
Yeah. So, but people, there's a drawn towards that than towards the high life, luxurious life. So people are drawn now to the guy who works like
regular
job, wakes up in the morning, catches a taxi. Go on.
No. I'm just saying note. I have something to comment on.
Oh yeah. So there's that movement, and Leona, the brands are kind of like drawing towards it. They are sponsoring the people who do that now, the type of content.
Yeah.
But I was just focusing on the authenticity part. Like, we crave normalcy so much that someone doing that to us was like, wow, yeah. And we related. So did we forget that side of things when it comes to creating content, that we forgot to be relatable? Yeah. That we did things to show like, I'm here, and I don't know, praise me, whatever reasons why other people do what they do. But I'm just saying, now when I saw that type of movement of like people showing their real life, or go in a shack, or they live in wherever they are, or wherever they bath, or wherever they shower, or whatever, how big the house is, how small the house is, and just show that, I think Leona can be kind of diluted. Over time it's going to be diluted, but it drawn in people from places, and then they were like, didn't I live like this? But I was afraid to show that side of my life. And meaning I was ashamed of myself. So I'm saying, am I also now misinformed about how I perceive myself? That I thought I was worthless to a point where I needed someone else to kind of show that and be confident and love themselves to that extent that I didn't see like I lacked love from myself. But before I make you forget your point, you can kind of go in on whatever you want to touch on.
Yeah. You know what, like I'm just thinking with regards to that I mean, I don't even buy that kind of content. Like whoever's trying to sell it, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Like just this idea of I'm gonna film myself sort of living my life, and it's just reminding me of something that we were speaking about with my uncle. I'm not sure if you were already here, but I think you weren't. But it's just this idea that, you know, we always talk about people who are proud as those maybe who would display, or people who love themselves, like these people that we say are self-centered.
Yeah.
Ne? We always think of them as people who would display maybe the glorious parts of their life.
Oh, yes.
So someone who would, like, after like maybe getting 8 distinctions, they post that, and we think of them as this is a boastful person.
Yes.
Blah blah blah, right? They're boastful and they are like as jailer kind of like they want to be the center of attention kind of person. We always think of those people as that, right?
Sure.
But there's a flip side of that, and the flip side of it is the people that, and it appears that thing as humility. I'm telling you, it appears as humility, ne? Of I'm next kind of, right? But that thing it's the same thing. It's driven by the same thing of wanting to be looked at. Same coin.
Same coin.
Different sides of the same coin.
Different sides of the same coin.
Yeah. It's still this thing of wanting to be looked at. So whether or not you are showing the glorious parts of your life, or you're showing the normal parts of your life, or so-called bad parts, as it were, like the unglorious parts of your life, whether it be ukazendishini and whatnot. But in the same way, the person who's showing the glorious parts is seeking people to look at that and think about them. It's the same thing. It's like you want people to look at you for unglorious parts of your life. It's driven by the same thing. It's basically driven by the same motivation of wanting to be looked at. So whether or not people talk about you in praise, or people talk about you in soaring, whatever, but it's also still coming from the same motivation of, hey, look at me, guys.
So we're drawing from the same well.
Yeah, basically. It's just masking itself in a different way. So I'm just saying that, I mean, when I hear stuff like that people are now doing that type of content where it's like, hey, look, and I can imagine it's sort of like content, yaboma. Every day I have to get up at 5 and I have to whatever. It's like, my life is not glorious, guys. Do you see? But by doing that, you are wanting attention. It's not like you're saying, this is normal. Don't look at me. I'm just going about my business. It's like, hey, no, look at me. Like how terrible my life is, or whatever.
What I'm thinking about at the moment, in that, so in this thing that we're discussing, through this lens, is that you can have someone who is, I'll use a simple term, irrelevant, that's triggered by what you're saying. But it's like, that's the thing, that open discussion has to be had. That you can have your opinion, and you feel that you're not aligned with it. And then the same person has to then have an openness to kind of revisit what they're thinking. Because I'm just thinking in my head, there's a high possibility that there is someone who's like, Antoine, I'll put it simply, yeah, but you can't. And I'm saying but that's fine. I think I'll be open to a discussion at Joalo, because the thing is, then I didn't think of it Joalo, I forgot I didn't even see it. We are still drawing from the same well, still drawing water from the same well, that it's the same side of and we are both seeking validation, but in different levels of, I guess, what is success or humbleness, or one is trying to portray meekness, you know, but we can't measure it. We don't know if this person is being genuine. That's the thing about also recording things, is that we don't know if people are doing it from a genuine place.
Yeah.
But we are, because we're on a social media, we are pulled by this thing, and we go with it. Or like, oh no, like this person is an inspiration. And I guess that's why also we get disappointed by our stars, like people we admire for a long time, and then we find out, oh, they did this. It's because of that admiration that we had for.
I think it's adoration.
Admiration that we had for this person.
Yeah.
And we get disappointed because of now they portrayed a certain character to us. But it is that character, they were playing a certain character. And so I wonder now, how far does it go when it comes to creating more that type of content? How far does it go that I might lose myself, and it becomes more about now it loses its authentic, like even if it came from a genuine place, it loses its like authenticity. Oh, that's just what like I'm thinking about whole. That pause I'm saying it's coming from just thinking about how people now are like, we are here, and let people live their life, and it's like no one is saying
don't do it. We're
it.
just discussing.
Yeah, it's just a discussion. And why are you getting angry?
Yeah.
About. So I'm saying that those are the important moments. Or why am I getting pissed off? Country John, and then let it be an open thing. Or like I'm discussing it with myself. I'm discussing with a friend, a family member, or whoever.
Yeah.
And so it just like fascinated me, like that side of the creating content.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing thoughts and ideas from those type of things, or those type of topics to hear and to draw observations that I do wonder like where this is gonna go, wobble. And as much as we have our own intentions of you want it to be big, but could it be that it might come a time where it started in the backyard of your home, now it's no longer that. Now it's like, you know, filtered. It's no longer heavily based on your true self. It's now based on who can I appease.
Yeah.
And draw in to watch my videos. You know. So I think that was like my main. It's still connected to the why of why we're doing things.
Yeah.
So for me, like that was like what I wanted like to discuss. I don't know if there's anything when you wanted to touch on before we close it.
Yeah, no, I think we can close it. Maybe the only thing I want to do is give a shout out to Adoration.
Wait, I mean, you can't do that. So what are you doing? You know I saw her now.
She's gonna watch it one day. Shout out.
Just cut it. Just cut it. Just cut it, you know, right? Because I went to 3 days on.
It's just a shout out.
Anyway. So yeah, cut. And then, so yeah, that's what we wanted to discuss with you. So I think I'll drop my pen there.
Yeah.
Of like what, because I knew it's an open discussion and something that we might revisit in the future. But it's something for now. Those are the questions for now. They fuel me. I go back home inspired.
Yeah.
I go back home trying to see how can I further my improve or work on myself, or what are things they maybe like I'm not seeing about myself that might be holding me back, you know. Is it anger? Is it you know, whatever, anxiety, or is it doubt? Is it pride, or is it, do I have humility? Or And I'm hoping all those things, once I've gathered them, they might help in whatever journey we take. You know, so for now, like it's questions like these, I feel like they're important, and they fuel me into, or they lead me, or they make me feel aligned with myself, or like this something that I am trying to work towards. And what more? How can it be more fulfilling than that when you can share it with someone else? So I think that for now, my thoughts there. Anything that you wanna? Okay. Say, Bala.
All right,
Thank
cheers,
you.
everybody.
All right, cheers.